Hey, how's everyone doing tonight? Thought I'd check in after yet another Florida State defeat. But I don't want to say that I'm getting used to it because truth is I am, but or numb to it. But man, I went into last night's game knowing we weren't going to win, and I didn't think we'd even cover if you wanted to get into the gambling aspect of it, which I didn't do. I don't really bet the games. Um, I just wanted to see a spark from the team just make Clemson work to beat us. I wanted to see Brock just be able to put some things together to build on for the rest of this year and hopefully next year. Um, and I saw that. I saw a kid who played his tail off last night. I saw a kid who tried to really work to motivate his teammates, which was really nice. And I watched the kid as the game went along, got more and more comfortable in the game, which is good. And he did that in spite of an offensive line that got molly whipped a lot, uh, horrible penalties, horrible snaps from a 6-year senior at center. Maurice is better than that, and just some drops from the receivers. I know we've had drops issues throughout the year, but last night was the worst of it. Um, we had a chance to actually make Clemson have to work even harder to beat us, and we didn't want to let that happen. Yo, John, what's up? Good to see you there, buddy. Appreciate it. You want to chime in about your Bucks? I know they lost a tough one over the weekend. Uh, they're going to beat them in a few weeks, or anything. But good to see you, John. What up? Um, but I did see that, and you know what? I really think the defense played their tails off last night. Um, yeah, I mean, we had some unfortunate plays, like two guys run into each other. Uh, helped Clemson score a touchdown. Um, but it is what it is. What is it? I mean, I think the joke about that was the most Florida State thing possible. Two guys running into each other. Um, I'm just at the point now where if you want to use last night as just okay, the coaches are coming around and their mic is and the coaches are playing the younger guys and they're getting the message. I don't care at this point. They got us in this mess. And you know what? Last night was a reminder that you probably should have gone to Brock earlier, or at least got him some reps in a game. You didn't do that. Yeah, no, John. I'm down to hang with you anytime in Naples, but not under those circumstances. Uh, but that's the most John Piskorski thing, or one of the most John Piskorski quotes ever. This is. I'm gonna post this, John. Sorry, but you posted it. This is like my friend John. He's not doing this for a laugh in the chat. Like he really thinks like this. That's John. I think it was a storm a year or two ago. He sent me video of him driving in the storm in his truck. True story. He didn't like do it to post on social media for like likes and clicks. That's not him. He did it just so I could see it in a few of his friends and just say, "Yeah, look what I'm doing today." That's so John. Always good to talk to you, buddy. Um. So yeah. So as far as back to the game, I'm fed up with this coaching staff. I feel there were times that the offense um, had more energy than Coach Norvell. There were a few moments like we blocked two field goals, which was great. That got Norvell's attention, but I don't care anymore. He comes across like a man who is just either at his wits' end with this season or whatever, or I hate to say it, just a broken man. Maybe last year really affected him in ways we just didn't see happening. Maybe just with this playoff snub, with you've had so much success in the transfer portal, you just kind of thought it would just fall into your lap in a way instead of putting in the time to really evaluate who you were looking to bring in. That's all showing right now. I don't know what went on in the offseason. I really don't. And I'm not talking about fall camp. I'm just talking about in the summer and in the off season of what went on as far as leadership. Um, but I did see a lot of guys play their tails off last night. Do I think that can keep up throughout the rest of the year? No. We're 1-5. I can't expect them to give that kind of effort every game. It's also a rival game last night. Um, I'm just getting tired of some of the veterans dropping balls. I would rather see the young kids come in and drop the balls than that at this point. I mean, no. You've been there 5 years. It wasn't like some of these guys have been so good in the past that you just forgive them for this. It's been a consistent problem. And last night, it was embarrassing, the drops. It was embarrassing that you actually get a long completion. You're down 10, you get a stop, complete a bomb to Malik Benson. Of course, it comes back because of a hold. Um, Snapping the ball over Brock's head about 3 or 4. Like, come on, man. I'd rather take my lumps, especially at 1-5. I'd rather take my lumps with some young kids than watch veterans constantly hurt this team. And I thank you for your service, veterans. I thank you for what you've done. You Without you guys, probably last year doesn't happen as much, but you're not helping. I mean, I expect a 6-year senior to be able to snap the ball, especially to a guy making his third ever start. And you know what? Brock handled those well. It was about 2 times he jumped up, snagged it, and got the ball. Once it went over his head, I don't think Yao Ming could have caught that snap and lost 17 yards. I mean, typical Florida State football this year. It has been tough to watch. I didn't think last night was the toughest game to watch of them. And it's sad that I'm evaluating it on which loss was easiest to watch. That's not Florida State football either. It is what it is. I understand. I've accepted it for this year. Um, I'm tired of Norvell's answers at the press conference. I didn't see it, but Vince, if you're watching from Garnet and Old, you and Ryan did a great show today, Vince, when you were driving home. But I'm going to steal what you talked about on your show. And for anyone who doesn't know Vince, he does a show called Garnet and Old. I was lucky enough to be on the show last week before the SMU game. We didn't talk about football. We talked about just Tallahassee because we didn't want to talk about it, football with a storm coming up. But anyway, he does a great show. So if you see Garnet and Old, they're a great show to listen to, and they're just great people. Anyway, back to the point I was talking about, Vince. And if you know Vince, as I was saying, Vince is like the most positive guy. He doesn't like to be. I mean, he'll be critical, but Vince does a really good job of not coming across as that angry fan. That's the best way I can describe it. He's just very positive like that in a good way. So I really enjoyed listening to them. And Ryan does a good job too. Anyway, Vince talked about in the post-game press conference, that Norvell got real chippy at a couple of media guys. And one of them was a good question. Like, we've been complaining about the media for not asking the hard question. They asked a fair and good question about why'd you call that timeout before the end of the half that gave Clemson more time to get downfield and get a score? And he's like, well, why wouldn't we? That's what Vince was saying in the thing, and I believe it. I'm going to go watch it after that. I should have before this, sorry. And no, we don't have time for that. We lived through that with Jimbo at the end, his last year, where he got real chippy at the media for questions he didn't like. Guess what? We didn't like when Jimbo did that. Mike, you're making double what Jimbo made, and you haven't won a national title. So really, don't even try to do that. That's just going to upset the fan base even more. And the media has been so kind to you. I wouldn't do that. Enough with that arrogance. I don't care how much you make. Like, that upsets me. I'm going to go watch it again. Go watch it for the first time. I just did not want to hear him speak after the game because I figured it was going to be a lot of the same rhetoric I've heard since Dublin, and I just didn't want to hear that again. And if I'm coming across as ungrateful to Norvell for what he's done, I'm really not. I do appreciate the job he's done with last year's team and what he inherited, but this year is unacceptable. And I think any true Noah will accept that. I think we're at the point now where I would love to see the media, and I hate to say this, speed up the process a little in some ways. And this sounds mean and cruel. Start putting out hot boards of coaches you'd like to see at every position. Maybe he doesn't replace that coach, but you know what? Why not? The season's kind of a waste. I think, I know I said that, but I think people are interested to see Brock more the rest of the year now. I think with DJ, people just weren't going to tune in, or they were, but let me rephrase it, without any interest. I think with Brock, he gave him a little more interest last night. Like, I'm more interested in the Duke game now to see how Brock progresses. I'm not saying he's the be all end all. I'm not saying he's the future franchise. Might not even be the starter next year. Who knows? You never know in college football. But Brock at least made it interesting to watch last night. And of course, Norvell was still stubborn and wouldn't, let Brock run at times and roll out and throw in times. The only times Brock really did that at times was when he had to improvise because the defensive line was barreling down on him and he had to get out of the way. Which he made some really good throws a few times doing that. A couple times, no help. So yeah, there's that for my rant there. I'm glad we're not playing this week. I don't want to hear the interviews this week. I'm sure they'll have a few days off, so we won't have to hear it. So you'll probably skip his Monday press conference, which is good. But at a certain point, I think it's going to be interesting after the season to hear when stories start to come out a little bit more. Now, if obviously he's not getting fired, so not everything's going to come out because they still have to work with him. But maybe after the season, a little bit more, you're going to find out why things may have transpired the way they did. That'll be interesting. We'll hear maybe what members of the Bowden Society have to say to him. That's high level boosters. I can't imagine they're happy right now. Tom Lang from Warchant made a good comment the other day that no Florida State coach going into a season like Norvell this year has had the resources he's had because he got all those in his new deal. So, and look at the product we're getting. Sorry. Sorry. I did an update and now it's blocking me. Sorry. Of all times. That's okay. Okay. Sorry. Anyway, so it is what it is. You can tell I'm used to it. I give Clemson credit. They could have really run up the score even more last night if they wanted to, and they didn't. But let's be honest, Dabo second half was like, I just want to really get my running backs more involved. Get them some work, get them ready, keep them happy. So that's why some points I don't think were scored on their end. I'm not even upset about the score. I'll take it. If you told me all week we'll lose 29-13, I'd say sign me up for that. Sad. Below our average of 16, of course, but I still would take this outcome. I thought Clemson could have named their score going into the game. So I really was happy with a lot of ways the defense played. Yeah, they had their moments, but it was to be expected because they weren't going to get the help they needed. Really from the offensive line, and I'm not even getting into the running game. It's was it 29 yards? Like really, Mike, all season, our running game, our offensive line, and that's been the worst positions out there. And you know what, guy, I really feel bad for in this team. I feel bad for a lot of guys. Don't get me wrong, but on the offense, Lawrence Toafili. This kid has played his tail off since the day he got to Florida State. Has dealt with so much, and to have to go out like this in his senior year, I really feel bad for the guy. Like I hope he gets a chance in the NFL somewhere, and this doesn't have to be his last taste of big time football because he doesn't deserve that. If anyone's in here, I'll take questions or comments or concerns or anything. If not, probably gonna sign off. I think I did my rant. Curious to see how Brock progresses. I like how the defense, the guys rallied around him too. Yeah, I said the receivers didn't help at times, but you saw them play hard for him in spite of a few drops, which was nice. Which was something you were hoping that maybe Brock didn't have the physical talent with DJ, but he might be able to spark the team. And I think he did in a lot of ways last night. Kid played his tail off. He's a tough kid. Made no excuses after the game. Could have. I don't think that would have gone over well, but he didn't. And he's just a good young man, like someone you could be proud of on and off the field. Just like Luke as well, if his time comes. Just a situation you didn't want to have happen this year. You wanted DJ to be the guy, help groom Brock or Luke for next year. That's not happening now. So I'm curious as the year goes on if we start to hear more stories, let's say, about why this year is going the year is going behind the scenes. I don't think it's going to come out though. Like I say, I'm curious because I want to know. It's the only thing we have of interest now with this season. Um, and it's not a matter of some coaching changes on the staff. It's got to be massive, or I don't think the fan base will accept anything less. Um, I think that's it for now. I know I kept it a little short. Um, those of you who are watching this after, I appreciate that as well. Let me know your thoughts as well. If you want to chime in about NFL or anything else, that's fine as well. I'm open to all that talk. I've released a my first 2 days of my Paris vlogs. I'd love for you to check them out, as well as my other vlogs as well. I'm really working hard on those vlogs. I'd love the Jeremy for head coach. Yeah, they. You know what? I would do it for half the price we're paying our guy now, John. Thank you. Um, don't think my name's going to get called for that. Don't think the fan base wants me, but that's okay. Um, so yeah, if you get a chance and you haven't yet, please check out those vlogs. If you haven't yet and you're watching this, please hit that subscribe button. I am really trying hard to get to that 1,000 mark. It's just a market. It's really important to me, just like every number before that has been. Um, I know it's a long way to go. I know you want to keep growing after that, and that's the plan. But that's just a number I'm striving for. Um, Thank you, John. I appreciate that. You talk about a good friend, man. Good friend, more like a great brother. It's this guy. Um, I can always count on him to support me in this, and that never goes unnoticed, John. I know you know that, but I'm saying it here now. So take care, everyone, and even when this is over, just leave me a comment, and it's not a question for me. If you want, that's fine. You just want to give me an opinion. I see some more people are chiming in, or not chiming in, but joining in. Let me know who you are in the comments or whatever, so we can chat, we can hang out. I'm willing to stay on for. I'm willing to stay on. I'm here for this. If you're just here to watch, I appreciate that too. I really want to grow these live streams. I need to work at it. I need to get better at it. I need to create a screen that's more appealing. Um, and I'm going to do it somehow, some way. I'm saying it here to manifest it, to make it work better. Um, so yeah, I got some other vlogs in mind coming up. I don't want to talk about it yet. Should the NFL force Tua to retire? Oh, that's a good question, John. Thank you for chiming in as always. Um, I don't know too many examples where that has happened. Um, if they put the Dolphins at risk for playing him if something bad happens, then that'll get interesting because the Dolphins would say to Tua, "Well, you got to sign a waiver. We're not responsible for you." I don't think he would do that. So then it'll be interesting. I also think it's interesting is that if the Dolphins and he kind of get the idea that they're going to go after a quarterback in the draft, then that's a different direction, and no team's going to take on Tua's salary. And I don't know what we would have to pay him. I mean, I'm so glad we gave him this huge extension. But I like the guy, and there's talks he wants to come back week 8. That's crazy. But that being said, I said a few weeks ago, with being on the IR, that was 4 weeks, and that'll give him an idea. Him, the team, and his family. What's best for him, and that's all I want for Tua. He's such a good dude. Um, it's just the unfortunate part of the game. It really sucks. But that's football for you. Um, yeah, if anybody knows or watches this later and knows of a time where the NFL told somebody you're not allowed to play anymore, I guess they can medically DQ somebody. Like in pro wrestling, WWE can tell a wrestler you're not allowed to wrestle for us anymore. I'm sure it's happened. It's just not as publicized. They just usually just retire, and we don't know why. We just think they're done playing. Um, so I think that's it. Bye week coming up. That's a good thing. Uh, probably lose the bye week too because we'll probably lose a few recruits. I saw CJ Wiley, our number 1 recruit and one of the top in the country, was at the Georgia game yesterday. So we know how that goes when Georgia decides to really go after a Florida State recruit. They end up there. And unfortunately, I can say understandably so. But I'm still going to be positive because I appreciate the effort Brock Glenn gave us last night. I appreciate the effort a lot of those guys on defense. It's not talked about as much, and maybe they're playing for the NFL. Whatever reason they were. Um, so that's it. Uh, Florida State, you've been quite the story this year. Not for the good. But you know what? I always say I'm a Knoll through and through. I'm a Knowles till the wheels come off. They've kind of come off this year, but I love my school just as much as ever before. I'd rather lose a Knoll than win as any other team. The buy opened. I had it at 8.5, John. So if you can get it at 5, take it. Okay, that's a good one. It's kind of true. Um, yeah, I mean, if I has any bit of a run defense, that's going to be a problem for us. So that's it. Thank you, everyone. And if you watch this, thank you. Just know I appreciate it. Just know if you haven't yet, just check out some of my vlogs. Let me know what you think. And it's just I look at it as this is a partnership that it's not just me filming this and doing it. Like I want to make content you guys like. I want to hear what you guys think about this. If I could do this better or that was went well, then it makes my life so much easier and better. So thank you guys. I appreciate the support. Have a great rest of your night tonight.